Increasing the firing rate of the muzzleloaders was not an easy task, as the loading process is difficult and takes time. One solution was to multiply the number of barrels. This increased the firing power, but also the weight of the gun. What we see here is a 16th century volley gun or battery gun. These pieces can be considered the machine guns of the late Middle Ages. The original of this piece can be found at the Museum of Wiener Neustadt, Austria. This volley gun was replicated according to the original size and details. It is a 100% exact copy. The main purpose of this version was to strengthen the weak spots of temporary and permanent fortifications. These static multi-barreled guns were placed to 1, 2, 3 or more places. They were loaded and primed. During the siege, an iron pot with fire was placed beside it. If the enemy broke through the weak part of the wall, anybody close to the volley gun could fire it by just dropping some cinder on the flash channel. There were also versions mounted on wheel carriages that could move with the advancing army as well, like this Italian version seen in the picture. Even if the accuracy of these pieces was not the best, their psychological effect was tremendous. The loading process is the same as on any other muzzle loading guns. They were equipped with 5, 7 or more, usually odd number of barrels. The loading was done from the direction of the muzzle, like on any other front loaders. The black powder is poured into the bore. Then the wedding and the ball, or simply the ball, was rammed in place firmly on the powder. The vertical elevation is set by the iron support under the barrel assembly. When the barrel was horizontal, it was time to prime the vent channel containing the 7 flash holes. Then the lid was closed until it was time to fire the gun. It was also possible to set the horizontal aim, as the barrels are placed on an axis. Now the volley gun is ready to fire. In case of need, anybody could open the pen and fire the gun. It can be fired by placing the match to one side, so the barrels will fire one by one. If it is placed in the middle, the central barrel will fire first, and all the others in pairs. The loading process is not easy, and it takes time to load the 7 barrels. But on the other hand, you have 7 barrels firing in the same moment to the same spot. And there were also volley guns with much more barrels placed in multiply rows. Maybe the lightest volley gun was the handheld knock flintlock volley gun with 7 barrels. Another interesting example is the Billinghurst battery gun from the Civil War with 25 barrels and breech-loading percussion action. We can imagine the situation when the sieging army breaks through the walls and feels happy because they are in. And then 1, 2 or 3 pieces are fired on them in a tight passage. Even if there are no hits and all the balls pass over their heads, I'm pretty sure that they will retreat 11 times out of 10 occasions. This is an effective but expensive weapon. Expensive to manufacture and expensive to feed. Unfortunately, there were never enough in the Hungarian force during the war against the Turks.
Lövésed!